return to you. Your pictures are genre directed, and you've done basically your turn on gangster films, on martial arts films, to a degree on westerns. Now you are a big romantic. Are you going to do a love story next?
Well, the thing is, I have done love stories. They've just been inside of my other movies. I mean, the first script I ever wrote, and was pretty much made, except for the very, very end, exactly the way I wrote it, was True Romance. And that's kind of not ironic. It was a complete romantic movie. Now, it has all kinds of, lot of, at one point, James Gandolfini almost beats Patricia Arquette to death, and then she has to blow him away with a shotgun and rip him apart. But that doesn't mean it's not romantic. To me, the Kill Bill movies are tragically romantic. I mean, I think you could look at Kill Bill as a metaphor for the dissolving of a marriage very, very easily. It's all right there. But it's going to be done my way, and I think everyone wants me to do it my way.
The rhythms of filmmaking are crazy making in a way. I mean, in Toronto, when your picture was first shown a year and a half ago, candidly, it didn't create that huge amount of excitement. And then it was purchased and then not released for a while. Was there any point early on that you thought to yourself, well, this picture's sort of going to get lost?
I think it certainly occurred to me, but it just kept kind of gathering a certain kind of momentum, and I think there's so much, or maybe I'm projecting my own curiosity onto a conflict that's so abstract and so underreported that and its sort of attempt to unpack it a bit, and so I think that as the conflict became more and more timely, and sadly it continues to be more and more timely, that I think the curiosity and the momentum of the film seems to be kind of commensurate. How come you don't ask me about a love story?
No way.
Your Dark is a love story. Anyway.
Okay, I'll accept that. No, but I cannot remember a case in all the decades where I've been around where a picture became the center of attention, really. Literally a year and a half later. I mean, it is on, again, the first page of the New York Times. It is ubiquitous. And that is, I think, says something about the way the film resonates as more and more people see it. Because it's only grossed, what, $12, $13 million. It could have an amazing afterlife, I hope.
Well, yeah, it's very, very strong now on DVD, and tremendous support from critical people.
But again, the rhythms of it. Jim, when Sigourney Weaver said to me that she was so awaiting nervously seeing Avatar, and finally she's invited into a screening room, and there's the governor and Steven Spielberg, and she saw this picture, and she said, I was just astonished that I thought to myself, Jim nailed it. It's amazing. Were you, when that kind of screening occurs the first time, were you apprehensive, nervous?
I don't know about that kind of screening. It was kind of a unique moment in my life. I happen to be good friends with Arnold, and I've gotten closer with Steven as a result of him being very curious about the performance capture methods and using them on his Tintin film, and he'd already shot Tintin at that point. And he sort of wanted to, he asked me that when I finally screened the completed film, could he be there? And I hadn't seen the film from end to end. That was actually the first time I saw it in 3D from start to finish. So in a way, I was trepidatious going into that screening. But I also had promised both of them that they would be there. So it was a unique screening, and I was there with my cast. And within the first few minutes, the cast started to react, Sam especially, who is a huge movie fan. He wants to be an actor, or he is an actor, because he loves movies, he's a fan of movies, which is why he doesn't mind making, action movies. And he doesn't sort of create that two-tiered thing that actors do. Well, I'll do this one for the art, and I'll do this one for the money. He does it all for the art and for the money. And I don't think he cares much about the money. But anyway, so he's chortling away and cackling away through the whole movie. and Sigourney's leaned forward like this the whole time. And I was going more off the energy of the house, so to speak. And I actually really enjoyed the film. And I know that sounds strange, but making the movie was so many tiny finite processes. It was like doing a pointillist painting and then stepping back and seeing that it in fact was a painting. So, you know, that was a unique screening in my life because it was the first time I actually sort of watched the film.
Well, I find actors, as a group and alone, are sort of both thrilled and disturbed by it because they don't quite seem to know, this was evidenced a bit in conversation at the SAG Award, they don't quite know how to judge the performance of actors in the context of the show.
Well, there's this sort of conceit that photography is pure and performance capture is an adulterated form of acting, when in fact I would submit that photography is subject to administrations of the DP, makeup, hair, wardrobe, editing, all of those things that make it an art form, and that there is in fact a purity to the performance capture, because you can't lie in performance capture. I actually discovered that my stunt coordinator, had a leg injury from watching his motion. I said, "What's wrong? You know, why are you limping?" It wasn't apparent visually, but it was apparent when you watch the motion. And you can't hide from a close-up that's 100% of the time. So the actors have to bring their A game every time they're up to bat in a scene. And the focus of the day is 100% performance. So if you think about the way that in a live action shoot, the director's time and energy is compromised by setting up dolly track, worrying about where the sun is, worrying about what the background characters are doing, all those things, and maybe only 50% charitably of your time can actually be directed 100%, directed to performance. On a performance capture day, your time is 100% about performance, and the actor's time is 100% about performance. So there are things that make it a very pure form of the art of acting. But the community doesn't understand that yet. There's a learning curve.
Well, it seems to me the opposite end of the spectrum from the way your actors interact with the camera is Todd Phillips, where I get the feeling that you put these goofy guys in a room and just say, lose it.
I think people think that a lot, and to some extent we do. You let people, I often say, I feel like I make movies about mayhem, and to make a movie about mayhem, you have to kind of have that feeling on the set. So I definitely let them loose, and you'd be, I think, a poor comedy director if you hire Zach or Will Ferrell or any Vince Vaughn, these guys I've worked with over the years, and said, no, just read it, do it just like that. We always say, comedy, it's not math, it's jazz, and it's something that we kind of, it's a little more free form, which is why I'm often high when I'm directing these movies. Because I feel that it helps. You guys are like, wait, he's going with this, he's for real. I feel that it helps keeping that loose sort of vibe on set. And I forgot your question because I'm
In casting that role, you did deliberately, you go with an interesting bunch of guys who aren't big stars, and you sort of made them stars. Now, did you deliberately steer away from choosing stars for that picture?
I honestly did. I felt like a lot of the comedies that we've been seeing in the last 3 or 4 years had a lot of the same kind of 8 faces switched up and put together in different, formulas. But I thought there was something about, people actors, I think, bring baggage with them of other movies and other performances, and I think oftentimes, when an audience comes in and they see Ben Stiller, they almost have their arms crossed and they go, all right, Ben, show me what we can do this time. And it almost takes, he has to work harder. It almost takes him the first 8 or 10 minutes of the movie to win them over, and then, they're like, okay, I'm on for this ride. And with new guys, I always felt like when we did these screenings, they kind of come in with open arms, and it's just sort of the right vibe that feels for the comedies that I like and that I was doing. And these guys, Zach is somebody I've known for 10 years, and I just wanted to find the right project for him. So it was sort of